Okay, so this is my second sit down, although we're standing, with Jaromie Chapiel. We are on the Norway creator retreat, and we are in the small fishing village of Sund in the Lofoten region, and this backdrop is just absolutely stunning. This has been the most sunny day that we've had since we've been here. But Jaromie, how would you classify yourself in terms of, as an entrepreneur, what is you do? Are you more of a videographer, photographer? How would you classify yourself?
I would say over the last couple of years, it's really been marketing. Like, I would say that's capsulated most of my work. However, I'm using this creator retreat as a hard shift into what I've really been trained for, which is filmmaking. So I would say I'm a filmmaker, but in the last couple of years, I was probably acting more like, you know, a marketing agency than anything. But I want to get back to my roots of being a filmmaker.
Right, and with the filmmaking, you have, and just tell me the name, it's a DJI Ronin, or how do you?
Yeah, 4D Ronin cinema camera.
Right, so how is it that you've been using that camera so far to tell stories?
So a lot of it really has been like using it in a lot of like commercial work. So I haven't really been telling much stories with it, and that's kind of like my main problem I've had, and that's why I'm making this shift. But I've been using it on like bigger commercials. It's really high production value. So any kind of like you know, shoots, like I did a commercial, a little ad for the Ray-Ban Metas, and so having something that's really high quality and gonna get you all the shots you need is vital for a shoot like that. So I've been using it on a lot of bigger like commercials like that, and they have some story to it, but it's really just like advertising. So it's not really like a short film where it's like it's really creative, it's story driven, and that's what I bought the camera for, and that's why I'm like, I gotta get back to that. I gotta get back to like making films.
Yeah, and to me, it's kind of like your pride and joy, that camera, because you love carrying it around.
I do love
Although it is heavy. How many pounds does it weigh, you think?
You know, it's actually not too bad. I think it's only about 15 pounds.
15? Okay.
Yeah.
But when we go up those hikes, to me, it seems like it can be a bit of a trek for you, especially that one that we did the other night.
That's true. I mean, 15 pounds, you don't think about it, but like even if you went and picked up a 15-pound weight and you held it up for 2 hours straight, your arm's gonna kill you, your back's gonna kill you. So it is kind of hefty, it's kind of heavy, but I have also been using it for about a year and a half. So I've literally built like muscles to hold it. Like every time I use it, it's a workout, right? So it's like I've gotten better at taking it everywhere, taking it up hikes, taking it in canoes, taking it anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, and so you said you want to be more of a filmmaker. You went to film school in Vancouver. So what is it that drew you to go to film school?
Well, the goal from the beginning is to be a movie director. I love telling stories, powerful stories. I think movies have the ability to do that and tell stories on a bigger scale to millions, if not hundreds of millions of people.
Right.
And that's kind of what drew me in. And so I went to film school because I wanted to learn how does Hollywood work? How does you know, the set work? How do all the positions work? And that's what film school like teaches you. It teaches you how to work in the industry.
Right. And who are some of the filmmakers or directors or producers who inspires you the most?
Oh, definitely. I think like Sean Levy is one of like my favorite directors. He's done a lot from like Real Steel, which is my favorite personal movie, which a lot of people don't even know what that movie is, but it's like a great movie. There's a lot of stuff with Ryan Reynolds. So like Free Guy, like basically anything that has like Ryan Reynolds in it, unless it's like Deadpool or something. Anything else that has Ryan Reynolds, it's probably directed by Sean Levy.
Okay. So you said he hasn't done the Deadpool stuff, right?
He hasn't done the Deadpool stuff. Yeah, no.
Okay. And what is it about his technique that you find you gravitate to?
It's very emotional. Like he always has this like really deep emotional meaning to like the films, and there's always some kind of larger story that's not really being directly said, but it's being like indirectly said. And I think that's the beauty of a lot of filmmaking is not directly just like shoving a story in someone's face, but doing it in such a creative way that you pick up on it without being told the story. It's almost like you use your creative talent to have this like subtle message or this subtle lesson in a movie. And I think that's the difference between a great movie and like not such a great movie, is how good do you actually teach some kind of lesson? How much do you emotionally connect with the characters. And I think Sean Levy just does such a phenomenal job of those two things that it inspires me to do something similar.
Yeah, I would say that my favorite director or producer is definitely Christopher Nolan. I'm obsessed with all of his movies.
He does good stuff.
Yeah, what I love most about his films is how it always seems to leave you guessing. There always seems to be these subtleties during the course of the plot that end up tying in at the end. And when the viewer is taking the film in, sometimes they're so small that the first time you watch the movie, you have no idea that that's actually a crucial point. And then at the end, you're like, oh my gosh, I remember that moment now. That was so relevant. And when I was sitting there watching it, I never realized that. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I mean, Inception, for example, is one of my favorite films. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it now. I mean, at least 10 times probably. And I still feel like every time I watch that film, I pick up on something that I didn't know from before.
I think that's the other thing, that like a great director will like not only do foreshadowing really well, but they will also leave these little hints of story and meaning that are so deep and so well thought out that you might miss it the first time. But if you really like watch it over and over, you start to realize how much attention to detail these directors have with telling the story. And without even realizing it, all of these moments are subconsciously pushing the story forward and helping you understand the story on a deeper level. And that's, I think, what makes these movies so good, is that like the story is being taught to you and shared in such a like meticulously well designed way that even if you don't consciously realize each of these moments, each few seconds on screen are like pushing the story forward, they are, right? And you don't notice it until you watch it 2 or 3 or 4 times over, but every single one of these moments, every second of that film is thought out, designed, and pushing the story forward. And it's such an impressive thing when we think about it, because like there's, you know, a movie that's an hour and a half, 2 hours long, every second is specifically put there for a reason.
Yes, and especially because I remember, so my favorite class in high school was film studies. Shout out Mr. Shannon from Dunbarton High School. And I remember he taught us the exact same thing, how every second matters. And if you think about it, I mean, man, some of these films now, they're putting hundreds of millions of dollars in the budget. So I remember Mr. Shannon would always tell us, not 1 second in this film is wasted because there's just too much money on the line. But my other question to you is, you seem to have more so, I guess, the passion for being off the camera and kind of building up that story, which is great. But to me, you also are a smooth talker. I think that you could also do well on camera too. So, but do you think that you gravitate more towards off camera and building that story?
I definitely gravitate more to like behind the camera. I think a big part of that though just has to do with like, that's where the story is mostly told, is the behind the scenes, the person who's behind and watching. Because when you're the actor, you're focusing on your acting, you're not looking at the bigger picture. And so I think when you are the person behind the scenes, you get to focus on the bigger picture and you focus on the story. You focus on every second that goes on screen. And that's really where the message comes across. So I think for me, the reason I love being behind the camera is because that's where the story's really being told. On camera, like the actors, obviously they're such a crucial part, but they're focused on a puzzle piece when the director's focused on the whole puzzle, if that makes sense.
Right, and I would say another director or filmmaker that inspired me from a young age was definitely George Lucas. I mean, when I was a kid, I don't know, are you a Star Wars guy?
I love Star Wars. You know, I didn't watch it till much later in life. Like I think I like only watched it a couple years ago, but the story is so well done. The world building is so well done. I mean, you can't deny that Star Wars is just a fantastic story, a fantastic franchise. So it's definitely inspiring.
Yeah, it's something that at least George Lucas or Christopher Nolan, for example, as I mentioned, like 2 examples for myself that inspire me. I find that they do get a ton of praise for their work. I mean, I've seen interviews of some of the actors in their films, and they will talk mostly, it's funny, in interviews about the director and how crucial that person is for the film. And it's like, you know, you can put the best actors out on the screen, but it ultimately comes down to all of these off-camera subtleties that make a massive difference.
Well, it's so true. And when we think about it, we don't realize that there is literally films that are being published every single day, whether it's on Netflix, Amazon, or in theaters, whatever it is. There's like new TV shows and films that are being published,
or even just YouTube,
or YouTube. There's new things that are being published every single day, and it's like, well, why don't you hear of 99.9% of movies? It's because the director needs to be fantastic. They need to be like an A-list director, like have the skills of an A-list director to be able to put together such an impactful and deep story, and that's just skills that are really hard to come across. And so many directors are just kind of like, they don't have that art to them. They're just kind of there. And that's one thing I noticed when I was in Vancouver Film School and looking into the industry, is a lot of it is network. And so if you get a job, like let's say I'm a director and I want to like start working, it almost has nothing to do with my skill level and everything to do with my network. If I know the producer, I'm going to get hired because we're buddies. And that's how it works in the industry. And it's kind of sad because it means that a lot of directors are actually underqualified for their job. And when we have an underqualified director directing a movie, it doesn't turn out as well. So that's why, like, when we actually have a director that's good at what they do, like Christopher Nolan, or, you know, like just all these amazing directors that everyone praises in the interviews, it really does make or break the film. Because if you have the underqualified director, like, you can just see it in the final film. Like, the acting isn't on point, the story isn't on point, like everything just, it doesn't really fit very well. And it's almost like all these subtleties that you don't even really notice, but at the end of the film you just don't find yourself thinking about it anymore. Right. And that's how you know it wasn't that good of a film, is like once you're done watching it, if it's just gone and you never think about it again, then it's kind of a hint, like a subtle hint that like probably wasn't a very good director of the movie.
Right. Now, you said that you had started a marketing agency before, correct? Like, you've already started that. Yeah. And then, do you think when you get home from this trip, I remember we had a previous conversation about how you're looking to evolve that a little bit. So do you want to maybe just explain how you were doing your marketing agency up until this point, and then perhaps how you're looking to shift once you get back home? 100%.
So, and that's a great question. I think, so for the last few years, it's been a marketing agency. So essentially, instead of it being focused on the cinematography and focused on the film or the story, it's focused on like how much revenue can we get for your business, how much views do we get on videos, and it's focused on all these metrics that as a filmmaker don't matter to me, right? Obviously, as a business owner, how many sales you make is very important to the business. But I can get more views on my phone video than I can on, you know, the cinema camera sometimes.
Really?
And so that's kind of like where I've had this agency where what I'm selling is the results, which is great because like the owners of these businesses love to hear that. It's like, oh, they're paying and they're going to make more money as a result. Right. Now, there is another way to do that as well, which is like making a higher production value commercial, something that's very specific, something that's story driven, that can still drive sales. And that's just what I want to switch to. So I'm going from like, you know, not caring about the filmmaking side where it's like, it's just about how much money can I make your business. And I'm switching a little bit where it's, I still care about how much money I can make a business. I still want it to be effective marketing, but I want to increase the production value. And so that's like the major changes. I'm going from like a marketing agency where I might be using my cell phone to film the videos for social media. And I'm shifting over to like higher paying clients where it's going to be a team of people, almost like a small set simulated. And it's going to be filming, you know, higher production commercials. So it's like, instead of it being like a TikTok kind of ad, it's going to be more like almost like a TV ad. It's going to, that's what the shift is going to feel like.
Gotcha. Yeah. So right now you only work by yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that at some point you'd be looking to get yourself to a position where you're able to hire people?
Well, that's kind of what the shift is. Like when I go back, I'm already working. There's 3 people that I would be bringing on to, because I'm going from a marketing agency to a production agency. And the difference there is that one is like, again, what we talked about, where it's just about the results, no matter how you get there, even if it uses the phone. And the other is that it's exclusively with this higher production value. So the price point goes up. But with that price point going up, you also get more crew members. And so there's actually going to be 4 of us. So there's 4 of us all working together on set to make these bigger commercials, these harder to shoot commercials. And so that is, it's not like me hiring people on, it's more of a partnership between us 4. And that's going to be the difference.
Oh, so you may look to do it as a partnership or maybe a corporation where people are shareholders, like private corporation, I mean?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly it.
Interesting. Now, I want to ask you a question, and if you need a second to think about it, it's okay. Who, in terms of, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you said that you'd love to basically make commercials for television, correct?
Well, it could be used on other mediums. But
Sure.
But that type of quality of yes.
Okay. So let's just pretend within the scope of that, what you're talking about with a television quality commercial.
Yeah.
Who would your dream client be, and how would you pitch them?
It's a great question. So one of my dream clients would definitely be like the Four Seasons, because
I think I heard you saying this the other day, actually.
Yes,
now that you mentioned it.
So the reason for me that would be one of my dream clients is because they have the funds to basically afford these bigger commercials, because that's one of the big things. If you want a dream client that's going to be paying more, it has to be someone who can afford it.
Yep.
The second thing is when they do have you hired on, because they have like private jets and they have yachts and they have these crazy luxury places, you don't pay for all those stuff. So you get to travel for free. You actually get paid to travel.
Yeah.
You get paid to go into these luxury places.
Right.
And then it's like you kind of experience it. It's almost like vacation while you work. And that's why it's like one of my dream clients, because if I can go on a yacht and get paid to be on a yacht, and then I'm filming stuff on the yacht, that just for me is like what fills my cup the most, is when I get to go somewhere amazing but get to film it too. And like that's why like the Four Seasons would just be like my absolute dream client. And how I would pitch them honestly is the same way I would pitch any company, which is I would start for free. I would literally go to Four Seasons, I would pay to stay there, and I would start filming, and I would start making ads for them and commercials for them. Without making any connections. I would just start doing it. And usually when you do that, someone on their team is going to see it, because they do, like, companies of that size have teams for this already.
Right.
And those teams are always looking to hire new talent. They're always looking to hire new agencies, or they're looking to hire new videographers or whatever. And so if you just start working and pushing out stuff, and they look at it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is better than what we're doing. And we have a budget of $50,000 a month. And it's like, okay, they're going to contact you. And that's the power shift, right? If I go to the Four Seasons and I say, hey, my name's Jaromie, I'm a filmmaker, I'd love to make these high-end commercials for you. They're going to be like, okay, but we're going to give you $10,000 a month.
They have the leverage.
Yeah, they have the leverage, right? But if I go and I make it, and they love it, and they're like, oh, we want more of that, and they come to me, then they're going to say, hey, Jaromie, we love what you're doing. How much
you
do
have the
we
leverage.
have to pay? And I have the leverage.
Yeah, that's great.
And so now I'm like, I'm going to go $100,000 a month. You can 10x sometimes. So like that, and that's the position I've been putting myself in for the last 3 years, and it's worked every time. When you just start by doing it for free and showing them what you can offer, they come to you, and if they don't come to you, then honestly, it's not meant to be.
And you're okay with that.
And I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
And then you move on and you start making films for the next dream client, right?
Right.
But if they do come to you, it's like a dream, because that's when you're actually getting to have these great conversations where you're like, okay, but I would need this to make it happen and this to make it happen. And they're very receptive to all that, because they already have it in their mind that they're going to book you and they're going to hire you no matter what.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that this strategy has already worked for you in other instances?
Time and time again, yeah.
Really?
Actually,
multiple times?
Multiple times.
Oh, that's great.
One of my biggest clients that I had, which basically started with me actually sitting down with the CEO and pitching.
Oh, that's cool.
He immediately turned me down and immediately said no. And I hadn't done any free work at that time, but I was just pitching. I was like, here's what I could do for you. And he like literally didn't even want to hear it. He was like, no, we can't do that right now. Like, we already have an agency. We're not looking to change things up. Just the answer is just flat no. And that's when I was like, okay, well, I feel very passionate about this. So without even asking, I just started promoting and making videos and doing exactly what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
But this time I was just doing it for free because they said no.
Yeah.
After 2 months of doing that, the CEO calls me up and wants to go for coffee again, because the specific store, because this was basically a more local, it's a Canada chain, but there's a specific store that I was promoting, a physical store. Mm-hmm. That store doubled in revenue over 2 months with my marketing. And so they, in the back end, they're obviously looking at these analytics, and they saw that their literal store doubled in revenue at the same speed that their marketing was doubling. And so when we went for coffee, he basically was like, okay, remember what you were talking about before? Mm-hmm. I want to basically go through with it. What would you need? And it's funny because the first time I sat down with him, I was going to give him this like small budget because I was pitching him on it. And now that he was coming to me, I think it was 5x the budget. So I increased it by 5 times. I asked for X, Y, Z. He gave me everything I asked for.
Yeah.
And then he gave me a bunch more stores that I was now looking over, basically a few different provinces worth of stores. And it was just amazing because if he had said yes that first time too, when I didn't have the leverage, I was asking for like a fraction of what I got in the end. And so I think if you just wait until you have the leverage too, the amount of like the difference it makes is just huge. But I've done that time and time again. I mean, even just like the most recent one, there was the disposable lens company, and they're a pretty like big company, and they're pretty well known. And so I DM'd them and no response, just ghosted. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I bought the lens and then I promoted it. And then these people in the comments are like, oh, where do I buy the lens? I love this. Where do I get it? And I'm like giving them all these shout outs for free. Mm-hmm. Next thing I know, DM from them saying, hey, we would love to work with you. We're going to send you another package. And we're going to basically, if we like it, we're going to start paying you. So it's like time and time again, I have endless stories I could go through, endless examples of like when I pitch, nothing. And then when I just do, they come to me and I have the leverage and I get 10 times more. And I could literally give you probably 10 examples of that working.
That's amazing. And have you, since you've been on this trip with us, have you, from a business perspective, have you picked up on maybe anything from any other members of the group that you're like, oh, maybe I could implement this strategy into my business?
That's really fascinating. I actually haven't had many business conversations with anyone here, but that actually makes me want to have.
I was going to say then that's maybe something because we still have, we're about half the trip at least, or I've lost track of the days.
I've lost track of the days. Because I have no idea.
we don't even know what time it is because we're in 24-hour daylight. We're in the Arctic Circle right now, so
this is true.
we don't even know. I think it's something around 4 p.m. But yeah, so moving forward, then I mean that's something that I think even now that we're talking about this, that I love talking to people about how they started their business and how they operate their business. It's something that I'm incredibly passionate about, being an entrepreneur, because I feel like no matter what industry you're in, you can learn from each other.
Absolutely.
So if that's something that maybe kind of triggers something in your head to be like, oh, I should maybe open up a little more or pick people's brains on this stuff, then hey, this is a two-way street, and you can get something out of this conversation too, and that's fantastic.
No, that's a very good point. I really am going to start like trying to dive into business with everyone now and try to figure that out, because that's a great point.
Yeah. Did you ever have any struggles at first with giving clients quotes? Because I know that when I started my business, that was one of the toughest things, was trying to figure out how to price myself and then giving a client a quote.
And that is still tough. Like it for me, and this is where I am going to make a shift and change it. But what I've been doing is I've been very flexible, where I basically ask first, what is like your budget? And then I figure out from your budget, here's what I can offer. So if a client's like, okay, we can do $5,000 a month. Mm-hmm. All right, great. Here's the package I can offer you. And here's the results you're going to get. And if a client's like, we can only do $1,000 a month. It's like, okay, but you're not going to get as much. And your results aren't going to be as much. And it's going to take longer for the strategy to work. So it really depends on the client's budget. And so I've been very flexible up until now, where it's like, if your budget's $1,000 a month, then you're going to get this much. And if your budget's $5,000 a month, you're going to get this much. I'm going to be shifting that though. I'm going to be going to a more concrete, here's our prices. Yeah. You either afford it or you don't. Because the one thing I've noticed is when you do take on those clients that are like $1,000 a month, they try and pinch every bit of worth out of that, out of that $1,000.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's almost like the higher paying clients are the most easygoing per se. Yeah. Well, hey man, I really appreciate your time. This has been a great conversation.
It has been fantastic.
Jaromie, thanks. Yes. Do you want to tell everyone what your socials are, where people can find you and see your work? Jaromie's work is honestly awesome. When we kind of first got linked up on socials, I went and I checked out his profile. He shoots some really cool videos. So what are you on? I know obviously Instagram. Do you have a YouTube channel too?
Instagram, YouTube. They're both just my first and last name.
Okay.
It's spelled super different. So Jaromie, it's like literally the most random spelling.
I'll throw the handle up on the screen with the text.
Okay, perfect. There we go. But yeah, just Jaromie Chapiel. So just my first and last name. Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube. Once you put my first name in, because it's so unique, you can find me anywhere, really. Like,
hey man, that's a good marketing tool.
The upside and downside, because if you throw it in Google, you'll just find my whole life will pull up.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well thanks again, man. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Great chat.